Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. And in this video, I actually want to talk about multiple things. First, I will talk about the short-term potential for Cardano, and then I will take a look at the Bitcoin monthly returns chart and the Ethereum monthly returns chart, and I will also take a look at the Fear and Greed Index to see what's happening right here. And I will also look at Bitcoin dominance because Bitcoin dominance is obviously important right now. Before I do that, let me talk about the short-term potential. So right now we seem to have a 1-2 setup on the chart, and I think the first wave is already in. Now the first wave looks to be in 3 waves, which is not the greatest thing, but it could work if we actually respect the support zone right here. Now keep in mind, we could get another low in the second wave right here because this looks like an ABC structure, and yeah, the next low could be somewhere between 68.7 cents and even 64.8 cents, and that's not really bearish. As long as we stay above the 61.2 cents level, we should be fine, and that's exactly at the golden ratio of the first wave. So if we get below this level, it's likely that we get another low in the second wave before we continue, which would not be the best because, as you can see, we are currently trying to get above the bull market support band. We're actually fighting with it, so if we get rejected here, it's not going to be great, and we will most likely have a cross on the bull market support band if that happens. I've told you many times already, Cardano kind of needs to get an impulsive move to the upside very soon, because if it doesn't, we will get a cross on the bull market support band, and that would not be great because in the previous couple of cycles, or at least the previous couple of times this happened, Cardano went down after that. For example, here we had a cross, it went down, we had a cross, it went down, here we had a cross, and here it actually went up for a bit. So not every time that we get a cross it's bearish, but as you can see, at least judging by what happened in the previous couple of times, it's not great either. The only good example I could show you is this right here. We had a cross on the bull market support band and the price actually went up during that time, and we had another cross just like 46 days later, and the price was not really affected by that too much. We could do something like this again. I'm not saying that we will, but the drop that we have right now, that we had, was a 70% drop, and this drop is very similar to the drop that we had right here. Now this was a pandemic drop and this is something entirely different, but maybe you can compare these moves, and maybe we will compare them, because at the end of the day this is a 80% drop and the move that we had right now was a 70% drop, so they actually look very similar. As you can see here, we also went sideways for a bit after we had the drop, and then we started going up slowly, and this move actually took like 1 month or so until we finally got above the bull market support band again. And as you can see, during that time we had a cross, and at that time I would have thought, yeah, this is really not bullish, but it turns out it was okay in the long term. But yeah, keep in mind, we cannot really afford to get a cross because, at least judging by what happened in the cycle so far, a cross is not good, so we don't really want to see that. And if we don't want to see that, we need to get an impulsive move to the upside, so the red line, well actually the green line of the bull market support band can start doing something like this, like it did in the previous cycle exactly 4 years ago. And yeah, in that way we will not get a cross. Now I want to talk about the Bitcoin monthly returns chart now, and for this let me go on this. So as you can see, January was a red month, well actually a green month, and this is actually normal compared to 2021. In 2021 we also went up like 14%, which is not, it's more than what we went up in 2025, but in 2017 we actually went down like 0.004%, and of course, this is only red wick, but yeah, it's not really a crazy red wick. However, in 2013, we also went up like 44%, so as you can see, January of a post-halving year is usually very good for Bitcoin, and this cycle has also been pretty okay. And if we look at what's happening in February, well, what happened in February in the previous couple of cycles, in the previous cycle, Bitcoin went up like 37%, and in the cycle before that, it went up like 23%, and in the cycle before that, it went up like 61%. So the worst cycle so far was 2017, which means that in this cycle, if we don't want to have the worst cycle yet, or at least the worst February of a post-halving year yet, Bitcoin has to go up about 23% at least. And yeah, that's the minimum percentage required to not be the worst month of a post-halving year so far, of February. So yeah, what could happen with Bitcoin in the next couple of months? Well, for this I want to look at the quarterly returns chart, and I want to compare what happened in the previous couple of cycles to what's happening right now. As you can see, in Q1 of 2025 we are up about 5%, and in the previous 2 cycles, well, in 2021 we went up about 100% in Q1, and in 2017 we actually went up only like 12%. However, in 2013, we went up 500%. So as you can see, it varies from cycle to cycle. But I mean, what we can learn from this is that Bitcoin usually goes up in Q1 of a post-halving year. And so far, it has been no different. Now, I want to look at the Ethereum quarterly returns chart because I think this is also important. If you look at the previous cycle, in the previous cycle, Ethereum went up like 160%. In the cycle before that, it went up like 500% in Q1. So in this cycle, if we want to do what we did in the previous 2 cycles, Ethereum kind of has to hurry up. Now, of course, there are still like 2 months left of Q1. Well, actually, no, only 1 month left. Well, yeah, 2 months left of Q1. And yeah, Ethereum kind of has to start going up if it wants to not be the worst cycle so far. Now, maybe in this cycle, Q2 will be better than Q1, but you know, we don't really want to, make that prediction because maybe that will not play out. And like I said, this all depends on what Bitcoin dominance does. If Bitcoin dominance keeps going sideways, and if Bitcoin dominance keeps putting in new cycle highs, then Ethereum will not be able to go up. Now, keep in mind, if you look at the Ethereum monthly returns chart, Ethereum went down in January, and this is actually not great because in the previous couple of cycles, for example in 2021, Ethereum went up like 78% in January. In 2017, it went up like 32%. So this is very unusual. It's very unusual for Ethereum to go down in January, and right now it's down in February as well, and in the previous couple of cycles, in 2021 it went up, and in 2017 it went up. So the fact that we are having a red wick right now is very, very concerning, and I really hope that Ethereum manages to close a green wick, because if it doesn't, things are not going to look too great. Now, of course, this makes sense, because we are still in QT, and like I said, if you don't know what that means, you should Google it, and we are not in QE, and yeah, during QT, Bitcoin dominance can, go up forever. So until we get QE, we cannot really, get a huge pump on the Ethereum chart, because if we want a pump on the Ethereum chart, Bitcoin dominance has to go down. And if Bitcoin dominance does not go down during QT, then yeah, we're not going to get a pump on the Ethereum chart. So we might have to wait a couple of, weeks maybe to get a confirmation that QT is over, and then we can finally start dropping on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, if you look at the Fear and Greed Index, it's currently at 54, and this is actually very funny because Bitcoin is at like $98,000, and yeah, I mean, people are fearful even though Bitcoin is pretty much near all-time highs. It's like what, not even like 5% away from all-time highs, and people are very fearful. And I think this is good because, once Bitcoin finally starts going up, I think that will trigger the altcoin season. Now let me explain why, and also let me explain why I think that Bitcoin will go up soon. So like I said, we need a fifth wave right here of the 1, 2, 3, 4 setup that I have on the chart. As you can see, the chart reacted to the 0.226 support level multiple times, so I think it's only a matter of time until we do get a fifth wave. We already seem to have a 1, 2 setup on the chart, which means that right now we should get a third wave of this fifth wave, and that could put us above $120,000, and I think that can happen very, very soon. So we could see Bitcoin go higher and higher, and if you look at the Bitcoin monthly returns chart, I mean, this would make sense because in the previous couple of cycles in February, Bitcoin went up quite a lot. Like I said, it always went up in a post-halving year in February, so I'm expecting the exact same thing to happen again. And yeah, speaking of Bitcoin, I actually want to talk about Cardano for a second because I know this is a Cardano video. But, I'm talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin because if Ethereum and Bitcoin do not do anything, Cardano cannot really go up on its own. It kind of has to, follow Ethereum and Bitcoin. And in order for that to happen, they actually need to do something. So yeah, Cardano, like I said, it reacted to the 0.618 support level and it got to the oversold territory on the daily chart, which is extremely bullish because the last time it was oversold on the daily was down here when it was at about 27 cents. So I definitely see Cardano getting a huge pump very, very soon. Now keep in mind, after we went to the oversold territory here, it actually took like 2 months for Cardano to do anything, but I think this was because we were still below the bull market support band. Right now, if we manage to get back above the bull market support band, I think that will finally trigger the third wave of the third wave that I've been waiting for quite some time now. And I know many people are starting to give up on Cardano, but keep in mind, it's still up quite a lot. And if you bought down here, you are still up like 2.5x, which is still great in my opinion. Now, of course, if you bought up here, I literally told you not to do that and you did not listen, so there's that. And yeah, I mean, this correction is normal. Of course, it is very, very deep. We got to the golden ratio level of the first wave, but we reacted to that extension, to that support zone. And yeah, right now we seem to be bouncing. We'll see if we get another low. Like I said, I do not really want to see another low because that would put us below the 0.618 support level, and that would not be bullish. That will also put us below the bull market support band again. And yeah, we don't really want to see that right now. But keep in mind, like I said, the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is currently at 54. People are pretty much fearful, and what does this mean? Well, it means that you should be greedy, because you know what they say, you should be fearful when others are greedy, and you should be greedy when others are fearful. And what do you know? Right now, people seem to be fearful for absolutely no reason. Now, of course, this drop was pretty scary, I have to admit, but there's nothing to worry about as long as we do not invalidate the 1-2 setup, so I can still see a third wave happening very, very soon. Now, are we going to get this by the end of February? Well, maybe, maybe not. If we want to copy what we did in the previous cycle, like I told you, we kind of have to start doing this move in February, and we actually have to end it by at the end of February, like we did right here. Is that going to happen? Well, I don't know. Like I said, we are still not in QT. Well, actually, we are still not in QE, so I think we'll just have to wait for that to happen, and when that happens, I think that will finally trigger the altcoin season. Like I said, Bitcoin dominance got to new cycle highs just a couple of days ago, but keep in mind this is actually bullish because if it got to new cycle highs, this only means that it will drop even more in the altcoin season, and I still think that it will happen. Now keep in mind, in the previous 2 cycles, and I did tell you this a couple of times, in the previous 2 cycles, the altcoin season actually started in March. And I did not really want to believe that this will be the same in this cycle because we had a cross on the bull market support band just a couple of, about 70 days ago. And I thought that it would be a situation like this where we just go sideways for about 48 days and then we start dropping. But that did not happen and we actually got another cycle high. But like I said, I mean, here we actually started the altcoin season in March. So there is, that small chance that we start the altcoin season again in March. And keep in mind, we did the exact same thing in 2017 as well. We started it at the end of February, so maybe we should have taken this into consideration, but then again, the Bitcoin halving happened like 2 months earlier in this cycle, so everybody thought, well, if the halving happened like 2 months earlier in this cycle, what if the altcoin season also happens 2 months earlier? But that did not turn out to be true, and yeah, there's nothing to worry about so far. I mean, Bitcoin dominance got rejected by the 0.618 resistance level again. Now it's still above it, but I think that once we start going below it again, that will trigger a big, drop on the Bitcoin dominance chart, and during that time, Cardano and Ethereum and, the other altcoins will finally go up again, and I think it's only a matter of time until we go down on the Bitcoin dominance chart. I've been saying this for a couple of months now, well, many months now, but I did tell you that it's a possibility that, we just go sideways. Now, we did not only go sideways, but we actually hit a new cycle high, and this was unexpected because in the previous cycle, we hit a new cycle high at the beginning of January. We never really hit a new cycle high in February of a post-halving year, so this is definitely new, but that does not mean that things are bearish. No, this is actually bullish because, like I said, it will only drop more in the altcoin season, and this is still good. Cardano is currently at 76 cents and it's oversold on the daily chart, so I mean, this is bullish. I don't know why people are complaining about this. Now, like I said, if you bought the top right here, then that's literally your fault. I mean, I was telling you to buy when we were at 30 cents, and what do you know? This would have been a good idea because we reacted to the support zone multiple times. So yeah, I'm not gonna repeat myself again. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.